Hello, everybody. My name is Joan Hoey. I'm the Regional Director for Europe at the Economist Intelligence Unit, and I'm chairing this next session of our Economist virtual event. The title of this session is Transforming Europe, where we need to invest to be more digital and more resilient. And our next speaker is going to tell us. I'd like to welcome Cecilia Bonefeld-Dahl, who is the Director General of Digital Europe. Welcome, Cecilia. I'm going to hand straight over to you.
Thank you. And I want to thank you for inviting me to this event, and good day, Ray, in Romania. So I hear myself. I don't know if there is an echo on your side.
There's no echo. I can't hear an echo, Cecilia.
Okay, I will try to disregard it in my headset. Thank you so much for inviting me. As you know, we represent the digital industry in Europe. We represent around 36,000 companies, meaning everything from small SMEs to big multinational companies. We have 40 associations in the European territory, and also, of course, members in Romania. So thank you so much for inviting me. I'm so sorry, but it's very hard to concentrate straight because I hear myself twice again after speaking.
Yes, I know that's a problem, but we can hear you just fine, Cecilia. I know it's very difficult to disregard that, and maybe we can do something about the sound, the volume as well. If we can put that up, but please go ahead.
Thank you so much. So we have been working in the last 2 months really to operationalize our strategy. We have published just yesterday a document aiming towards creating clarity of what does this digital investment mean? Where do we really need to focus? How do we take Europe to the next level of digital? And of course, in the light of the COVID crisis, this has become extremely visible that digital is a main driver of change and is a main driver of the economy and the recovery of the economy. One of the things that Europe is really struggling with is still the fragmentation. And this is what we don't need right now. We need on-ground national investments, yes, but we do need the leaders of Europe to work really closely together and when really investing to recover the economy. And digital will be one of the absolutely main drivers for that. I think that we will see mainly 5 areas of focus: healthcare, skills, infrastructure, and of course green. So I'm delighted to share with you. I don't know if you have received my slides. I would like to show you a little bit the numbers of some of the things that we have been looking at. So if we go one slide, yes, there. No, go one slide back. Thank you. To the target slide, please. To the first slide, please. Thank you. If we look at the current state, we actually only have around 9% of SMEs who are trading across one border and selling online. This means that in a situation where we have a COVID pandemic or any other pandemic, a lot of the SMEs are endangered because they are unable to generate revenue. This, of course, is a major impact on their businesses, but also on the whole economy, as 98% of the businesses in Europe are SMEs. So we need to help the SMEs getting online to digitalize their business model so they can basically survive when the economy is closed down, shops are closed down, etc. Another issue that we will struggle even more with, we have been aware for quite many years that we are lacking a reskilling of the workforce. We know that by 2025, 52% of the workforce will need reskilling due to digitalization, due to digital disruption. And right now we see a new wave on unemployment. If we want European citizens and of course Romanians to see themselves as a part of the financial and economic solutions of Europe, they also need to see themselves in a job that belongs in that future. And the fact is that already before the crisis, we had more than half of the workforce that needs reskilling. So skills is definitely something that we need to look at, not only at a national level, but also from a European investment perspective. Then, of course, we have a challenge with the environment, and one of the, you could say, the big dual strategy of the investment plan for Europe right now is exactly green and digital. So how can we basically already now take into consideration that the future belongs to the one who can compete in also in sustainability, and make sure that we invest in this dual strategy. Data is called the new oil, the new gold, and that is actually true. Being able to target your products, being able to develop your products, being able to communicate targeted is a fact that it's not something that will come. It's here already, and it is a major competitive driver. Also, we have seen in many countries that we have a big growth in data-driven SMEs, but many of them have so big trouble actually getting access to data, and they don't have the right processes in place internally to basically become like a major kind of leader in their industry. So they try, they're very innovative, but then they give up. So Europe is now looking at investing in data spaces within the different sectors. And this is definitely something that we should be looking at how to enhance. So I don't want to take all of these, maybe just one more of them. Today we basically only have around I think it's 17 or 18% who are using e-health services. I think I saw the session just also before. Now, finally, national leaders are coming together to find out how to harmonize the health systems and the health investments across borders. And this is really one thing that we have no time to waste. We need to be able to serve our citizens, even though they are not able to come to the clinic, not able to come to the hospital. And we need to be able to use data to predict diseases instead of only treating diseases in the future. So these are some of the drivers of investment that we have been looking at. So the good news is, maybe turning to the next slide, is that we have 750 billion euros coming out in the next generation EU recovery funds from the EU in a twin investment strategy on digital and green. Now, how do we spend that money? Ursula von der Leyen has been very visionary and said like 20% has to go into digital. We need to not restore what was, but to rebuild the future of Europe. And what we published yesterday, turning to the next slide, was exactly an attempt to make it very concrete for the national leaders, for the governments in Europe, basically to say, what does this mean? Where should we put the money? And where can we collaborate also with other European countries to really make programs of scales, but also programs that have been tested before and really shown to be beneficial. So you can call it shuffle-ready projects that can basically be taken and implemented. And we have highlighted 5 major areas and a lot of use cases and 10 major pan-European areas of investment that we believe are the ones that we should focus on. Here you see some of them: digital education and inclusion, digital healthcare, connectivity infrastructure, SME growth and transformation, and of course the green transition. So I urge you really to go into this catalog of digital societal investment programs. We know that all the countries have to deliver their investment plans to the EU within the coming 2-3 months. And I hope that the Romanian government is also listening in here, and I know that our Romanian members are in close dialogue with the government also, because it's really important that we get the right investment going now. Now is where we can create the competitiveness of Europe in 5 years. So what we do now with this money will really make a difference for the economy and for the citizens in the next 5 to 10 years. If we now look at the next slide, if you look a little bit on the Romanian situation, right now we can see that around a bit less than 70% of Europeans have basic digital skills. And as you see, nearly only half of the Romanians. And so that is definitely one area where I would say Romania really needs to focus at digital education. We have three major projects mentioned in the first 10, actually. One is bringing the teachers into the digital age, so empowering and teaching teachers to teach online, and also to be able to teach and facilitate digital skills training. The other one is reskill of the workforce, really detecting who needs to be reskilled. And the last one is a forecasting system for actually detecting what roles are being disrupted and what are the future jobs. This is actually already possible, and you can read more about it in the guide. Also, definitely infrastructure is an area where there is quite a strength in Romania already, but still we see a big divide between the rural area and the city areas, where the rural area still lacks a lot of connectivity. And it's very important to have an inclusive society, basically to be able to handle also the connectivity in rural areas for teaching and other things. I urge you to read the guide, to find inspiration there, and to collaborate also across Europe with other countries in getting funding and resources to implement these programs across Romania and other nations. Thank you so much. I will open a little bit for questions and answers, and I hope too that you have a lot of them.
Oh, thanks so much, Cecilia. I understand you might have to leave us at 11:55. Is that right? That gives us 2 minutes, or can you stay a bit longer?
I can say 3 4 minutes.
Great. Okay, well, that was really useful and very specific and granular. So it was really good to see that detail. I guess one question is apart from the resources issue, which to some extent, or to a great degree, potentially Next Generation EU is going to address that problem especially for the poorer countries such as Romania and countries in the Southeast Europe region. So the resources issue maybe is not such a big one now. But what are the other problems? Why is Europe lagging behind the US, lagging behind Asia, China? What are the other problems that you would identify? I mean, you've identified one of them, education. So, for example, I know Serbia has now made coding part of the curriculum for every single child. Is that something that we need to do everywhere in Europe? Which countries are getting things right? Why is there a lack of innovation? Is there a problem of too much regulation? What are the other impediments, do you think, apart from resources?
I think our biggest challenge is fragmentation. In the digital age, scale matters. And European leaders, I mean, the COVID crisis helped, but it hasn't really come together as one team. And if you look at data and AI, for example, we have so much quality data in Europe, but it's very scattered. So when we have a very innovative SME in health, for example, they struggle to find the data. And, in 2 years, they are out of money, there's too many problems, they don't know how to get it. What I would say on the positive side now, if we actually implement these data spaces, we will have very safe quality data for innovation in Europe. So there are some really good things. So collaboration between the regions, fragmentation of the European market, and decisions and investments are. And then, of course, I don't know why we have not had coding on the curriculum already 10 years ago. It is the only universal language in the world. And it's not a new thing. This is 30 years, and we still want Latin, but not coding. So if we want to allow many different people to enter the digital age, this is, of course, one of the things we should do. Nurses, drivers, everybody needs to know how things around them function or how they can innovate through tech.
Okay, thanks for that. You emphasized a lot the SMEs. Yeah, and I understand why you did that. But what about what needs to happen in terms of Europe's bigger companies, especially if we're talking about digitalizing energy sectors and healthcare? We've got much bigger organizations that need to get with this program as well. What would you say about that?
I would say one thing that we forget is that we are actually quite competitive in Europe. In, for example, our manufacturing sector, in green tech, companies like Schneider, Siemens, many of these companies are leading in their areas. I think what we will see now is a wave of green innovation. Also, the Commission right now is speaking about renovation wave of the buildings. We know that 40% of the CO2 is actually emissions from buildings. If we can actually start that innovation of changing how we measure and even legislate around energy consumption in buildings, then we will also have investment there, and we will maybe lead in this in the world. So we actually have a range of sectors like manufacturing, like health, where we can lead if we play this right, and we make sure that there is investment and focus on that also here after the COVID crisis.
Okay, a final question maybe, because I know you have to go. For countries such as Romania and others in the Southeast Europe region, Bulgaria, Serbia, they've got very good software engineers. They've got a tradition in that area, and they've got emerging, quite dynamic IT sectors. They have suffered maybe from limited resources, and hopefully that can be addressed. But what should they be doing to build on what they have already? What do you think the priorities are for them?
I think one of the issues has been is then the emergence of scale-ups and unicorns in these areas. It seems that the majority of resources are working in other companies. So I think really looking at how can you establish an ecosystem where it also allows these companies to grow to the growth phase, and to ensure that there is a risk-willing capital in all phases of investment. I mean, I know that right now the EU is setting up the Innovation Council exactly for this type of investment in companies in innovative sectors that really wants to establish themselves and grow through the different growth phases. So really focusing at the scale-ups, not of the startups only.
Okay, I think that's all we've got time for, because this session is coming for an end anyway. So thank you so much for staying with us, and that was a really interesting presentation. Thank you for sharing the slides, which I'm sure we'll share more widely with people who've listened in. It will be on the website as well. So thanks very much, Cecilia. Really useful discussion.
Thanks.
And we'll be continuing some of these, obviously, in our later sessions on tech and the green agenda. So thanks very much for joining us.